And it's working. Okay. So last day, I know it's been a while since I streamed. It's been a long week. Well, how do I say? I've been occupied. Yeah, kind of occupied, but also not occupied enough, which makes my brain go, you should be doing stuff. And then streaming stuff is not stuff that I was wishing to do. Or, well, better yet, I was wishing to do streaming stuff. But I always ended up either distracted or something else happened, like my mom got sick, and I got scared last time because I woke her up midstream. And yeah, we do need to finish Love and Deep Space. Oops, sorry. We ended up on a... Actually, I didn't... Oh wait, I think I have it on YouTube. I have it on YouTube, so I can always edit. I edit that there, but we ended on a banger, literally. And I was exploded. That game's getting dark. Today I logged into Love and Deep Space, and I got a call from Xavier, basically acknowledging the fact that I haven't been there in a while. I think it's been 3 days since I logged in. Okay, so what we are doing, and hopefully it's not too against etiquette on YouTube. We are reacting to whatever I have on my watch list on YouTube. So I already have an idea of what on my normal account. Already have an idea of what we can watch. Not this, where it is playlist. I'm searching for because I have it on a smaller screen right now. Sorry. Well, but not on this one. I was trying to watch something that isn't like won't damage someone's channel too much. Oh, I didn't watch Nifty's OCD therapist analysis today. You can watch that. I'm not showing the screen because there's sassy stuff here because of the thumbnails. So, for example, we're not watching 8-Bit Ryan playing the doppelganger game. That's not my neighbor. Could watch something about Geek streamers, but not today. I will keep the warnings that I put because I'm not sure what we'll find. But yes, Detroit Become Human, wasted potential or missed potential. For example, Parasocial, the game, we're not watching that because I want to watch someone play that game again. We're not doing that. Where is it? Not watching IDV finals. And it's here. Okay. From Chronicle X.
Detroit Become Human is one of my favorite games of all time. Not because it's a...
Oops. Nor that. Okay, that one was from... Before was from the neighbors... not window, I forgot the name. But Chronicle of X. Detroit Become Human, realizing missed potential. Right? So... what we're watching right now is not mine, does not belong to me. Warning. This video does not belong to me. I do not claim any of what's in here. It belongs to Chronicle of X. Go visit his channel if you want to watch it with me talking over. This is first time reaction, quote unquote. Sorry, just got a notification from the oil app and realizing missed potential. So let me just adjust my earbuds. So I'm only using one, and in 3, 2, let me just check something. let me just. Okay, there is no chat. I won't be able to hear myself. Actually, no, I have another screen here. Where's YouTube? Just want to check that everything's alright. Oh, damn. Just a bit Frank made a new video on Aspen Hotel. That's crazy. A bit crazy. Why didn't the mic catch up? This mic is supposed to be the best mic on the phone, that is. Okay. Just a moment. Okay, yes. So I have now right now 3 screens working. Tomorrow I start school. I'm on a master's degree of human resources management. So wish me luck. I need to actually start writing my my work. Forgot the name of the thing. Anyways. Okay, since everything's alright, let's start. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Detroit Become Human is one of my favorite games of all time.
My reaction will be a bit late, so apologies for that. Let me just
because it's a great game, but because of its missed potential with its story.
Forgot the name of the
thing. If it was just given just a bit more time and care into exploring its themes and characters, Detroit would have been one of the best games of all time. Unfortunately, it never reaches those great heights because it's always dragged down by its numerous flaws. My goal here is to realize the missed potential of the 3 stories of our protagonist, the 3 main characters that will.
Okay, let's go a bit back.
If it was just given just a bit more time and care into exploring its themes and characters, Detroit would have been one of the best games of all time. Unfortunately, it never reaches those great heights.
You could say, even though it was right, this one was before or after Until Dawn. I think it was after Until Dawn, right? So right after the Grace, that was Until Dawn, and this game came out, and it was a new genre. It was a huge game with many paths, and your choice actually mattered. Right after Telltale games try to do that, it's actually a pity that the original. I don't know if they have a new company or gonna do those games. I don't think so, but it's a bit that they closed down because the Tales of the Borderlands. Wait, did I play that one or did I just watch a playthrough? I forgot. But that one was crazy. It was great. It was great. The twists, the many twists were good, and it was funny. Even though I never played the Tales of the Borderlands before. Anyways, Uh, yeah, so this game was huge. And at the time it was great, and then like half a year or a year after, when was it? In 2012 that it launched. That was a crazy year. But yeah, after, not too late after, so kind of soonish after it launched and people saw the game, played the game, there were many complaints, which I've been ignoring up until now. But this video caught my attention. I only heard a bit of the intro, right? I want to give this a chance to change my mind in that, because it's not saying outright that Detroit Become Human was horrible. It's saying there's missed potential, and that's what I want on a Detroit Become Human video, because honestly, it might be true, but I'm not on the side that, oh yeah, it has I mean, not that it has missed potential, but I'm not on the side that it was horrible. It was such a failure. So I first need to be dragged to that side, especially because I forgot most of what happens. I'm just checking something here. Ooh. Wonder if we can. Oh, I think I can do this on Prism, adding source to Prism. That would be. Wait. Where do I? Okay, I broadcast. Be right back. Shit is happening. Hopefully, shit might not be happening. Let me see. Log out. Log in. And so this will be a short stream. Sorry about that, my mom is really sick. Up until 11:40 p.m. maybe. Always is wrong. Is my username wrong? Oh yeah, it is. Caps lock. And is B also? Yeah, the B is also in caps lock. Are you freaking me? And now I need to go to open my email. Never buy a Xiaomi, people. Never buy a Xiaomi. And I need to deal with some emails before Google says enough, we're not giving you any more shit. Zero. Yeah, blah blah blah, said blah blah blah. May I get inside? Thank you. Start watching. Thank you. Start watching. So some alerts. No. Open setup. No. Open setup. Opening browser. Opening browser. Looking with Twitch. Are you shitting me? And this one? Yep, this one. For real. Five 501. They're not planning on this one. I use something else. Copy. And I think this is all I need. Let me open Prism Live. Let me add stuff here. Call it some alerts. Don't know if it's gonna work. I might as well try to put Streamlabs some alert here or something. No idea if it's working. Let's see. So it's browser source to your other scenes instead of creating a new browser source for each of your scenes. Get new browser web page source and copy the URL below into the URL field. Okay, it should be working. Maybe. I haven't installed it. No, I have installed it. Anyways, it's beyond my comprehension. On my patience right now. So you go back, you go here. Maybe I start streaming what's the name? Choice of games. Also be me reading some shit. Should be bad. Should be calm. And where is the screensaver off? There we go. And yeah, we'll see the web page not found because I'm not sure if it's working. Let's see if it gets in the way though. Oh, sorry. It doesn't? Maybe? Okay, let's continue.
It never reaches those great heights because it's always dragged down by its numerous flaws. My goal here is to realize the missed potential of the 3 stories of our protagonist. Unfortunately, it never reaches those great heights because it's always dragged down by its numerous flaws.
We're basing consistent characters.
To realize the missed potential
that goes by so fast, dude.
Unfortunately, it never reaches those great heights because it's always dragged down by its numerous
So poor pacing, inconsistent characters, and Kara's story. I guess Kara is one of the characters that everyone points out when we need to speak about Detroit Become Human. Well, her and Connor. Connor gets thrown to the ground, to the mud, and dragged a lot.
flaws. My goal
But we
here
all
is to
know
realize
what we love about Connor. The fanfics.
the missed potential of the three stories of our protagonist. The three main characters that we'll be following are Kara,
Oh, I
Connor,
forgot to
and
put caps
Marcus.
locks.
Their story are not
Easy for
equal
me
in
to
quality,
follow
however,
along
they
with the
rank-
actual
my
video.
goal here is to realize the missed potential of the three stories of our protagonist. The three main characters that we'll be following are Kara, Connor, and Marcus. Their story are not equal in quality,
Marcus.
however, they range in differing qualities quite
Kara,
significantly.
Connor, Marcus.
Connor's
Okay.
story is the best out of
Three different stories that merged together. At the time, this was crazy. This was fantastic. I believe after this was Dead Red Redemption was after this game. The first one and then the second came out. Both great games, apparently. I know more or less the ending of the first game and story, kinda. Not the second, but I heard everyone loved it. So I believe first we play as Connor, then as Kara, and then as Marcus, but I could be wrong. And this lady here, this dude here, great characters. Great characters, I mean, not great characters, good characters. I love the meta aspect and how relevant she actually is. Because this lady, I forgot her name, Kitty or something like that, she's the one on the main screen of the game, and she's an android herself, I believe, and you give your last decision to her. For all androids, it's kind of like a iRobot. But we all know that the best character is Mr. Detective here. Forgot his name. But him and his dog. Okay.
Of all of them. His arc is about an android becoming human. Sound familiar?
Cool
It
characters.
remains consistent and has very few flaws in it. Marcus's story is the most interesting out of the three because his explores the philosophy of a society changing. It sound familiar?
So, Connor's
it remains
right.
not equal in quality, however. They range in differing qualities quite significantly. Connor's story is the best out of all of them. His
Yeah,
arc
Connor's
is about
okay.
android
Connor
becoming
is
human.
the
Sound familiar?
robot
consistent and has very
detective.
few flaws in it. Marcus's story is the most interesting out of the three because his explores the philosophy of a society changing. It saddens me to say that his story is just okay. It really needs time to explore its main character and support characters and also change some of its story beats up in order for it to be good.
It did fail here because I think she was the romance option, and she was the weirdest romance option because we had no motive to romance her. We kinda, people would hate her, right? We hated her. We didn't have many reasons to like her, did we? Or maybe we did a few, but their interaction just became hurried. In my opinion, at least.
Kara's story is an objective failure at storytelling. There is no potential to realize in her story because she lacks the most important element of any good story. Kara doesn't have a character. And I know I just upset a lot of people with my claims about Kara, so let's dive into her story first.
You did.
Yes, of course. She's a wonderful little girl. I mean, I don't know many little girls.
Here's a spoiler warning for this game. Both for Nvidia and for myself. Just a moment. Obrigada. Eating some gummies. So, what I loved about the story was the child character for the nimble. But sorry, I'm getting distracted. But I guess when you say that character does not have a character, you could argue that the late one
There is no potential to realize in her story
is the
because she
actual
lacks the
story
most
we
important
follow.
element of any good story. Kara doesn't have
This child is the actual main character of Kara's story, and her story revolves around her too. So I guess there's that when speaking of Kara, but instead of calling it Kara's story, if we called it this child's story, I think it will make the story more viable, like why it exists. But if we did that, the problem is that we would probably ruin the twist.
the character. And
Which I
know
liked.
just
I
upset
like
a
their
lot of people
relationship.
with my claims about Kara,
If
so
you
let's dive into
get
her
the
story
relationship,
first.
if you don't, then there's no relationship, and there's just a
She's a wonderful
really
little
angry
girl.
android.
I mean, I don't know many little girls, but I think she really is special.
Kara is not her own character. She is an avatar for the player. My reasoning for this is
Yes.
simply Kara fails at a lot of elements that are used to make a good and interesting character. What's Kara's goal throughout the story? Answer: get Alice to safety. She remains
Protect
consistent and
Laura,
always working towards
maybe?
this goal. Why does Kara want to
Yeah,
protect
get Alice
Alice so
safety.
much? I don't
Because
know,
we do?
honestly. I can't tell you why Kara forms such a fast and strong bond with this little girl. Kara and Kara barely spend any time together before Kara decides to kidnap Alice from her abusive dad.
Daddy, no!
It's all your fucking fault!
It's fine why Kara kidnaps Alice. No one likes to see kids get beat. But my next question
Didn't
is,
age that well.
why does Kara try to take care of Alice after they flee from Todd?
Didn't mention him.
Kara has no money here. She has no shelter.
Yeah.
She doesn't even have basic rights like a human does. The best thing for Kara to do after rescuing Alice is to try to contact Alice's mom, so Alice can live with a normal functioning parent. I know
Is she
Alice
even
doesn't
still
have a
alive?
mom since she's actually just
Oh,
an android
contact her
child,
mother.
but Kara thinks Alice is a human right now.
I mean, I guess we
Surely
never
Kara
tried.
would know that she can't possibly take care of a human child.
Yes.
Kara has none of the essential items needed to take care of a human kid. But let's say for argument's sake that Alice doesn't know how to contact her mom since she abandoned her. If that's the case, then why doesn't Kara drop Alice off at the police
Yes.
station? The police have special personnel to handle abused kids that run away from
Good
their
question.
abusive families. The authorities are equipped to deal with these types of kids, and they can provide them with food.
Yeah, right now we don't. After we find out that she's a kid, she's an android, spoiled of course, we get why we couldn't take her to the police station. She'll probably just be taken back. The other reason is because she's with an android who kidnapped the child because supposedly a parent abused the child. We learn from the start that kinda? Yeah, we kind of learn from, we learn from the perspective of an android. From the perspective on android, no one would freaking believe that the child was getting abused. Or, they might believe, but it will require social security agents to do a lot of paperwork that will take longer than just simply kidnapping a child and maybe bring her to a safer place. Which is not ideal either, but So I guess the best option would be to try and contact her mother or find her mother. In this case, it would be find her mother, if she's even still alive. After we find out that child is a robot, is an android, we have a motive for why not to bring her into the police station, because she is owned by a human and that she has no rights. Hello, Pashkrayan. Welcome. What's up? The ceiling.
In Shelter, Kara doesn't do that either. It's automatically assumed by the writers that you understand Kara's motivation for
Yeah,
taking
we
care of
invade
Alice.
someone else's
Alice is a
house
small
here.
child lost in a big scary world that constantly wants to kill her. But this is a game that champions itself for having multiple choices.
Oh, Sky at Night with Stars. Actually, no, I'll do it one better. It's not Sky, it's the Galaxy.
In its story. Why am I then, as the player, never allowed to abandon this little girl just like her mom did?
What about your mother?
Are we never allowed to abandon her?
And don't think I'm
No,
some
I
heartless
guess we
bastard
can.
either for
I guess we
saying
can just form a really bad relationship with her, and then abandon her at the disposal center, kinda. Make her die.
I don't like Alice because she is just a walking, talking plot device. She's only there for you to save her from bad situations, or she's there to say poignant things to the audience.
Why do you...
I like Alice as... I guess I could say that Alice is the main character of Kara's story and not Kara. And we're just a player taking care of Alice. Besides, what we do in the story will affect kinda. Actually, there are many points where it affects a lot, but doesn't completely affect Alice. And I think that's where the biggest fail is, that everything that we do should completely affect Alice's at every turn and their end. But it does not. It affects a lot of stuff, though.
Saying that. I don't like Alice because she is just a walking, talking plot device. She's only there for you to save her from bad situations, or she's there to say poignant things to the audience.
Why do humans hate us? We didn't do anything wrong.
She doesn't contribute at all to Kara's arc. And speaking
Do
of Kara's
we
arc,
know her
what is
that she's an
the
android
show
already
the
here?
audience?
Why do humans hate us?
When do we find out that she's an android? It's at the shelter where all the androids are, with Marcus, I believe. So where were we at this point of the story? Because that's already at the end of the story, kinda. Did we run out of the shelter and we're heading to the Canada?
Do anything wrong?
To the border, basically?
She doesn't contribute at all to Kara's arc. And speaking of Kara's arc, what is it actually? Because Kara
I mean,
doesn't
if
change
they made Alice an actual human, I guess we could actually have a point of view of humans and androids, as well an actual change in human perception. That Hank is the name of the detective, because the only human perception that is changed that might help others change is between Marcus and the rebellion, which is about perception, and Connor and Hank's friendship, and their friendship, or more. Anyways, I'm joking, but aside from that, if we had a little girl advocate for androids, I guess it would have been better. But no, instead we have a little android girl advocating for her own, which doesn't help much.
the person at all throughout
Who
the
seems to
story.
have a bad system, a bad memory, or a delayed system, because she only becomes like knowledgeable as every Jesus Christ android typically is, after we find out that she's an android. I guess in a way we could say that it almost seems like they decided to make her an android as an afterthought.
She doesn't learn
Because the story
anything new
wouldn't
about
work
herself
any
or
way
overcome
else.
any challenge from her personal flaws. Maybe the game was trying to focus on Alice's arc instead, where she starts out as an abused child and you get to see her turn into a normal,
Yes.
happy kid. But Alice doesn't display any of the qualities of a person coming
Yeah.
from an abusive household should display. She doesn't ask questions about her abuse. She doesn't have any traumas from her abuse. She doesn't have
She's not
depression,
human.
PTSD, or any of the other symptoms that abuse survivors have. David Cage, the author, doesn't understand just because you leave an abusive situation doesn't mean you're normal now. You carry those scars caused by the abuse with you. You take them with you for the rest of your life. Alice is also an android too. She has the possibility
Yeah.
of just wiping her memory and bam, she's fine now. She
To
doesn't remember
feel
anything.
right.
That actually
Yeah.
could have been the big
That's
twist
true.
of Kara's story once you find out Alice is an android. The game would ask you what is better, to forget your abuse or to deal with it and learn from it. It would have been a more thought-provoking twist than what we currently have in the game. A good plot twist recontextualizes the entire story. A new light is shined.
Actually,
on the
yes, it
story.
would
You
be.
can go back now
What's
and you can
the
see the little foreshadowing.
what's the choice we have? Yeah. Choice we have is to drag her to the border so she can maybe be happy, or drag her to the border so she may not be happy, or drag her to the border and fail and end up as the only android alive after at least she always survives in the end, but as the only android alive was left behind, either wanted to be left behind to save Kara, or I mean, in the case of she was saved, that's another route, or left behind and hurt, and basically with bad feelings towards us because we left her behind in the trash, quite literally, I think.
Moments that are used in the story. A good example of a story twist done well is Silent Hill 2. On your first playthrough of the game, you
That's true.
think that the protagonist,
I never even played the
James,
game.
is an
I've
innocent
seen
guy trying to save his
playthroughs,
wife
yeah,
from scary
playthroughs,
monsters.
but mostly
Once the twist
analysis
is
of the
revealed
game
to the audience that James has actually killed his
and of the
wife,
monsters.
you can now look back and you'll see things differently. Those scary monsters, for example, they're just visual symbols of James's past sins. And speaking of sins, Kara's biggest sin is her caring about Alice being a human. It doesn't make sense for Kara's character to care about Alice being a human
Nope.
or an android because she can literally say this to Marcus 5 minutes before the twist.
I don't care whether she's human or android. She's just someone who matters to me.
Nor is
Okay.
there any time Kara comes out before this and say that she wouldn't love Alice if she wasn't a human child. When Alice says this,
If I tell you, you won't love me anymore.
I mean, at the time that we say that to Marcus, it makes sense because we've spent some time with Alice. But at the time that we decide to kidnap her to make her feel better, those words that do not make sense at the start, for sure. We just arrived at her home. Also, we have the chance to kill her dad or not, and twice. And it's a little hard to make the choice of not either harming him or killing him. Like, I mean, at first we either have choice to run away without harming him, or harming him and run away, or kill him and run away. I think that's also a choice. But second time we meet him, it's a little harder to make the choice of not doing nothing to him versus harming him, or even better, killing him. And we do learn a bit about this character that makes us maybe sympathize with him a little, but it's more when you decide to go out of your way to let him leave and you get full story, kinda. So there's a lot that makes us indeed.
That doesn't make any sense because Kara has never given any sign that she would treat Alice different if she wasn't human. The two of them have never sat down and have a conversation about
That's
it
true.
before this twist is revealed. I think the reason for this is probably because there isn't any time for these two to talk because they're too busy running away from big scary men. I'm not exaggerating either. Every single one of Kara's chapters has a big
Yeah.
scary man in it. Todd, Ralph, Luther,
That,
Glock,
yeah.
Carnes, a police officer, and Deus Ex soldiers. Kara's main theme is about family, but there's barely any
Deus
time
Ex
given to
soldiers.
explore this scene because all of the big scary men you have to run away from interrupts that time. That's why Kara's story can't be fixed.
This guy does not deserve to
Kara's
die.
main theme is about family, but there's barely any time given to explore this scene because all of the big scary men you have to run away from interrupts that time. That's why Kara's
The
story
big
can't be
scary
fixed.
man that
We would have to rewrite the entire
can
story.
either kill us or help his master get us, die to protect us, or get really damaged protecting us. Actually, this game on hindsight, our choices really are past the prologue. Yeah, past the prologue, our choices are kill someone, damage someone, really bad. Maybe damage them a little if we are doing an interrogation with Connor, for example, or do nothing and hope that you have enough goodwill in the game itself that you'll survive, unless it's already destined for them to die. Like with the case in the prologue, which, because it's more tragic, when you go around, do your work as a detective, and even so after that, the android is shot, I believe.
In order to fix all the problems I just listed. Instead of doing all that work, let's replace Kara's story with another character that
Okay.
explores the theme of family in a better way. We're going to use Rose as our
Oh,
protagonist.
Rose.
She's a single mother of a teenage son. They just lost a father, so the family is in mourning right now. Rose currently feels
And she sends her son with us to help us, like, wee. Honestly, yeah, Rose Pog,
sympathetic to androids, and she helps fleeing deviants make it to safety. You can think
the
of
losing
her like
shot
a
for
Harriet
Rose.
Tubman, and she's running her own underground railroad. Rose's son doesn't like that his mom is doing this. He's just lost one parent and doesn't want his mom taken away by the police now, causing him to lose both parents. Naturally, he'll start to resent deviants because of this threat they pose to his mom. It would be your job as Rose to parent your son into being a tolerable, empathetic person. I hope now you understand why I think Kara's story
Instead of using Kara and hope that by being nice, you will not report us. Which is not too hard to do, but also not too easy.
is just a train wreck. It can't be fixed or
If I'm not,
salvaged in any way. So now,
misremembering.
we'll take a look at Connor's story and we'll see how Detroit can tell a good story.
28 stab wounds.
Connor's story is good for a number of reasons. The
I mean,
strongest reason being
it has become apparently a meme. I think the best relationship, or the worst relationship, but also the best part of Connor's story. Connor, who is always dragged through the mud, by the way, is his friendship with Hank and his dog. And the start of the game is with him, and we learn more about Connor and from Connor from the prologue with him than with the other characters.
we see his whole arc play out from beginning to end. He starts out the story as
Little
a young
traces
musician,
too.
seeing the world through black and white, success or failure. It's his journey of seeing gray situations in his interactions with Hank to become fully human, someone capable of feeling empathy.
Drinking
That's
is
if you
bad.
choose to do the good playthrough. Detroit has a morality
Shooting
system in
someone
it,
is
so if you
bad.
have Connor remain evil, then he doesn't change at all, resulting in his story being unsatisfying. Marcus also suffers from the same morality system issues. His evil playthrough turns out unsatisfying as well from it. The cause of this problem is how Detroit treats good and evil. It's one of those games where you're punished for being evil, and the game will always criticize
Good
you
is
on your
good,
dastardly
evil,
deeds.
you get nothing.
Detroit usually chastises you
Which
for
I
using
sucks.
symbolism or having a support character yell at you.
You bastard. You saw I was gonna fall and you
True.
rather let me die than fail your fucking mission.
Hank will always
There are choices. Yeah, there are choices with that affect Hank and where we wouldn't expect that to happen and can ruin the whole story. Like we need to play perfectly, play perfectly to be on Hank's good side. Problem is, at this point, for example, we are already kind of friends with Hank, and what this makes is, I mean, it the decreases our friendship. I don't think it makes much of a dent if everything else is alright. But his reaction when we've found a bond or made a friendship with him, made a friendship, that's English, is a little bit much.
get mad at
Because
Connor
we
for
have
being
not
evil,
been
which makes it extremely
complete
hard
idiots
for
up
me
until then,
to
and then he
because
just
whenever I
sucks.
disappoint Hank, I feel like I'm disappointing my own dad. That's no coincidence either. Evil, which makes it extremely
What
hard
me-
for me
it's
to
true.
get footage of these scenes because whenever I disappoint Hank, I feel like I'm disappointing my own dad. That's no coincidence either. Connor's story explores the theme of family as well. Think of Connor as a naive child. Both Hank and Amanda are bitterly divorced parents trying to influence how their kid turns out. Hank represents your broken father. He could be rough around the edges but has
Okay,
a heart
yeah.
of gold. He's trying to push Connor into being his own person. Amanda represents your manipulative mother. She wants Connor to
True.
remain isolated from the world so she can easily control him. It's here, however, that I need to bring up
But
that
oh my gosh,
Amanda doesn't
Amanda's
have any
design, the design of his inner world is so beautiful.
solid purpose for doing this. She's Connor's AI handler. She's supposed to
Yeah.
offer guidance and strategy to help Connor in accomplishing his current mission. Yet, no matter how much you
Oh,
try
I
to put
never
a
see
solid
that
purpose
page.
for doing this,
Because
she's
it's
Connor's AI
a
handler.
character page. Amanda is the handler of the Connor series, responsible for investigating the Deviant issue on behalf of CyberLife. Connor reports to her through a graphic interface, allowing them to stay in constant contact. I mean, I have doubts about that. If Amanda is an advisor and guide for Connor in his investigation, she also has the power to deactivate him at any time. I also doubt that a bit. Yeah, my problem with it is that she seems to be, instead of being Connor's handler, she's more like, she always seemed to me more like the director of CyberLife or something like that, and the police, and the director of the commander of the police force, because her agenda is so much about pushing us to act as against deviants and against humans in general. Well, not against humans, for humans, against ourselves. I mean, against humans, if the human is, if the human suffering brings answers, then she's okay with that. It's so much about that she doesn't seem like a handler of the Connor series. She seems like those guys at the end that are trying to keep androids from leaving and are going to shoot any deviant.
She's supposed to offer guidance and strategy to help Connor in accomplishing his current mission. Yet, no matter how much you try to please her, she will always act cold and demeaning
That's true.
towards you.
Came very close to capturing that deviant. It's a pity you let it self-destruct.
Which begs me to ask, what is Amanda's purpose in the plot? She doesn't contribute anything to Connor in his mission. Her only
I mean, we can
part
make
is
her
in the last
happy,
5
but
minutes of the story. This moment comes out of nowhere and there's no build up to it. Connor is standing near Marcus during the victory speech. Amanda suddenly pulls Connor back into the Zen garden and
Yeah.
tells him,
What was planned from the very beginning? You were compromised and you became a deviant. We just had to wait for the right moment to resume control of your program.
But that doesn't make any sense. Amanda threatens to
She
replace
could
Connor
have done this.
because he's not making
Yeah, it
any
doesn't make any
progress in
sense.
his investigation. Amanda does everything in her power to make sure Connor remains an obedient machine. So her coming out and saying that CyberLife planned for Connor to turn deviant this whole time simply isn't true. Do you know how this twist
So
could have
it's
been implemented better? The story
yeah.
should have had Connor start out already deviant. Connor already possesses free will, but CyberLife has mentally conditioned him into thinking he's still an obedient machine. Making this change would have been a great instance of gameplay improving the
yeah.
narrative. The reason why Connor can do all these empathetic choices in the game, like saving this fish for example, is because
Oh
he
yeah, the
possesses
fish.
free
We can
will
save the fish.
already. Why else would Connor save this fish instead
If you did at start.
an unthinking machine in this chapter? He shouldn't even register this fish because it's not relevant at all to the mission objective of stopping a hostage crisis. But sadly, the game misses the great opportunity of implementing this plot twist. Doing this twist would give CyberLife an active role in the story. They're the main antagonistic
I
organization
robot
of
scene basically.
Detroit Become Human, but they don't do anything at all in the plot. We could make it where CyberLife is experimenting
When
with
does only
deviant
one Connor
androids. The
activate?
company realizes that androids with independent thinking can make better choices in high-stress
I've always wondered that.
situations. Say, for example, a soldier in a war zone. CyberLife's end goal would be to replace the entire US military with their androids. Then once they accomplish that, they would go full Order 66 and overthrow the government. We could expand this into Marcus's story too. Marcus has the power to convert androids to his side like they're his brainwashed minions. Marcus can insert sleeper agents into the
Yeah, that's
military
true.
to spread his
Oh, it's
cult.
always weird.
It would add some much needed depth and complexity to Marcus's revolution because currently Marcus's revolution
Yeah, it would make sense if they connected those two in that way. So at the end, it will be their objective to, oh yeah, we always plan for you to become deviant, aggregate every deviant android, and just like reprogram everyone. I think that's the objective. I forgot. Was it just kill everyone, every deviant? I forgot.
never bothers with politics. Which is insane to think about since revolutions are 95% politics. You would think a French writer would know a thing or two about revolutions. But I'm starting to get ahead of myself here. Because now we can finally start talking about Marcus.
French writer? You think that right?
No crime against an android shall go unpunished.
Marcus's story follows the classic hero's journey archetype. He
Okay.
starts out the game as a simple caregiver and then ends the game as a revolution leader for all of android kind. David Cage unfortunately loses our hero in Marcus's own journey. Mr. Cage spends most of the time in Marcus's story
David Cage is
focusing on
French? Or is David Cage the actor for the motion capture for Marcus?
compelling scenes or bashing you over the head with the
Actor
civil rights
slash
movement,
voice
leaving our
actor.
poor protagonist without any time to express himself or to grow as a character. I think that's why people consider Marcus their least favorite protagonist in the game. That's a shame too, because Marcus having our poor protagonist without any time to express himself or to grow as a character. I think that
With your favorite character in Detroit, survey results, yeah. 60 Connor, 22 Carrot, 18 Marcus. True.
that's why people consider Marcus
I
their
agree
least
with
favorite
this.
protagonist in the game. That's a shame too, because Marcus
I agree with
has
this
this
result.
potential to be so much
Still be me.
more if just given more time and care to explore his character. So that's why this section of the video is going to be structured differently. We're going to be going through Marcus's entire story to realize its missed potential. Chapter 1, Shades of Color, starts
Okay.
off slowly with a leisurely stroll through the park to go and buy some paint supplies. It's a huge juxtaposition compared to both Connor and Kara's opening chapters. They start
Which
off
was
with a strong
Zaku.
hook to reel the audiences into their narrative. Marcus
I
is
mean, if we had to evaluate opening chapters from least stressful to most stressful, then it would be Marcus's, Kara's, and then Connor.
Story lacks this bombastic hook. Instead, it takes its time to organically set up the main.
And yet we start with Connor, go to Kara, and then Marcus, if I'm not incorrect.
Of the world, android versus humans. You get to see the brewing tensions between the two races through small interactions. There's this homeless man with a sign, this hot dog vendor, an angry mob, a preacher who looks like a fat Martin Luther King Jr., and this shot Marcus in the back of the bus. Okay, I need to talk about the civil rights theme that the
Okay, it doesn't make sense why they put someone who looks so much like Martin Luther King to be against androids. It's kinda because it's racist.
The civil rights theme that Detroit has.
Xenophist?
It's present throughout Marcus's entire story, and it's ultimately what derails the narrative from focusing on Marcus. David Cage constantly compares the game's android rights movement to the civil rights movement, but it comes across as tone-deaf and vapid. My explanation for why it's presented in such a shallow fashion comes from how David Cage understands slavery and the segregation in America. He thinks that they're interchangeable events when they aren't. Segregation only happened in America as a way to directly control African Americans. We wouldn't have had segregation if we still had slavery in place. I also need to mention that David Cage uses the Holocaust in his heavy-handed symbolism. The main problem when you compare your fictional racist tragedy to a real-life tragedy, you have to do your research in order to properly respect the victims, their families, and the countries it happened to. If you do not do this, then at best, you'll come across as just uninformed, which hurts your story's credibility. At worst, you'll come across as offensive, which will piss
for a game that was so viral. Yeah, that was a huge risk, and so David Cage is French. That's a French name? David maybe Cage? I'm confused.
Detroit thankfully comes across as uninformed.
Or is it from France?
For me, at least, anyway. I'm also a Caucasian
that's
as well,
from...
so I cannot speak for how someone who's African American...
That's... I mean, Illuminati is French, but that's different from being born, like, I don't know, British. But it will still be considered French because you are from France, not from Britain. You will live most of your life in France. Or you have British, American, whatever parents, but you were born in France. You know what I mean.
Might react to scenes like this one.
Most humans hate androids. My people were often made to feel their lives were worthless. Some survived, but only because they found others who helped them along the way.
A way Detroit could still explore segregation and racism in its story is to actually flip the premise on its head. Make the African-American people off. Detroit thankfully comes across as uninformed. For me, at least, anyway. I'm also a Caucasian as well, so I cannot speak for how someone who's African-American might react to scenes like this one.
Most humans hate androids. My people were often made to feel their lives were worthless. Some survived, but only because they found others who helped them along the way.
A way Detroit could still explore segregation and racism in its story is to actually flip the premise on its head. Make the androids the privileged class because...
I mean, also a Caucasian, so I can't say much. I guess what she's saying is kind of true. But I'm quite sure there's more to it. I'm quite sure there's more to...
Some survived, but only because they found others.
Yeah, I think some survived because they found others, but also because they survived. During slavery, not during segregation exactly. I'm pretty sure that when slavery was just the norm, not that it ever ceased to exist, it still exists a lot somewhere in the world. But I'm quite sure that slaves yeah, they had a system, quote unquote system. It wouldn't help them a lot if not for themselves. But I'm not African American, so I'm actually Caucasian myself, European, which is even worse. So you tell me.
Could still explore segregation and racism in its story is to actually flip the premise on its head. Make the androids the privileged class because they're the ones that are driving the economy and not humans. Doing this would be very in line with American values.
Okay.
Our motto here in America is profit over people. Thankfully, the next chapter, The Painter, doesn't have any
Yes, that's true.
heavy-handed symbolism in it. If anything, it actually might be too subtle for its own good. This chapter introduces us to Marcus's father figure, Carl. Carl is a
Just
rich
a moment.
painter.
I need to. I'll be right back. Okay, maybe. Nope. All right. Let's continue.
Who's close to death. We see through both Carl's and Marcus's interaction that Carl doesn't treat Marcus like a servant. Instead, Carl treats Marcus as a son. Carl encourages Marcus to explore his
I mean, I guess
humanity.
this chapter was really subtle enough that when the son appeared and killed his father or grandfather, forgot. It just felt so out of left field.
By reading about philosophy, playing music, and painting. It's through these actions that we get to see Marcus's thoughts on androids. But it's only through these actions that we
That's
see
interesting
Marcus
painting.
actually express
That's him.
playing music and painting. It's through these actions that we get to see Marcus's thoughts on androids.
Yeah, see, it's him. In the revolution. Just a moment.
But it's only through these actions that we see Marcus actually
Rainbows
express himself.
Row.
It's a problem with his character. He rarely gets a scene where he just sits down and
I like
talks about
that
himself.
chess table.
But it's only through
Chess
these
pieces.
actions that we see Marcus actually express himself. It's a
Let's see. It's Towers. I do have a game that's called Game Deck. And these chess pieces remind me of that game. I need to continue that.
problem with his character. He rarely gets to see music and painting. It's through these actions that we get to see Marcus's thoughts on androids. But it's only through these actions that we see Marcus actually express himself. It's a problem with his character. He rarely gets a scene where he just sits down and talks about himself and what he's feeling. Compare that to Connor's story.
Yeah, he
Connor
rarely
gets
talks.
multiple times to express his thoughts with either Amanda
Which
or
is
Hank.
completely different.
It allows us to better understand him and what he thinks about his current struggle. Marcus needed a similar type of relationship with someone in his story. The game tries to do this with characters like North, but she treats Marcus as a symbol first and a human
yeah.
second. If you want to learn more about Marcus's character, you have to actively look for it. Most players aren't going to do this since they're casually playing through the game. To wrap my point up, there's a lot of interesting small moments and few big interesting scenes. The first big scene we'll see is in the next chapter. Broken keeps in line with the hero's journey archetype by being the call to action. Marcus and Carl come home and discover an uninvited intruder. Marcus calls the police before Carl and him go to confront the intruder. They find Leo, Carl's drug-addicted son, ransacking the place searching for money. Leo goes ballistic on his dad and starts shouting at him for failing him
Because
as a
he's his
father
son.
and using Marcus as a replacement son. Carl starts to show signs of a heart attack from the stress of the situation. Leo begins assaulting Marcus, causing our protagonist to awaken his consciousness. You're given the choice of Marcus's reaction. Do you defend yourself or do you listen to your father's plea and take
Can
the
you
brunt
have
of the abuse?
an heart attack from stress? Because I see that a lot in television. So I'm not sure if it's true, if it's based in fact or just. I mean, we are frail. He's frail in that state, so he does need to be careful. But you know, I know how anxiety can affect someone, but I just wonder.
I love this moment. It serves as a great teaching moment to the player. You're being asked what's better, to kill someone indirectly from your action or to kill someone directly from your inaction. No matter what you decide here, someone's going to die because of you. Detroit needed more of its choices to have this same amount of complexity and impact. That's a flaw that's true for every protagonist's story. They're given a vast amount of choices that don't matter at all. You can say that's fine, but the game presents these meaningless choices like they're going to have severe consequences down the line.
Yeah, I guess with Aang, the problem is that we are given help by saying, hey, you will survive most probably though.
Vast amount of choices that don't
you can do
matter
your
at
12.
all. You could say that's fine, but the game presents these meaningless choices like they're going to have severe consequences down the line. Tying it back to Marcus's choice with Leo, if you decide to push him here, he falls back and hits his head on a metal object. You see Carl crawl to his son's side and you hear his anguished cries.
And probably breaks his
You just
vertebrae.
killed his son. But later, towards the end of the game, you find out Leo survived, completely robbing the beauty of this moment. The next chapter, From the Dead, is perfect. Marcus wakes up in a junkyard after getting shot by the police. He needs to search for spare parts amongst discarded android corpses to repair himself enough to escape the junkyard. Why is this chapter perfect then? Well, there's a few reasons.
I didn't see that ever.
It's a great story scene with little to no dialogue spoken in it. It tells the story through symbolism instead. Our hero is waking up in a strange, new, hostile world. Or should I say, it's hell. He's waking up in android hell specifically. The parts Marcus needs to scavenge are an eye, an audio processor, and a heart.
The river
Speaking,
sticks.
Marcus is finally seeing, hearing, and living the suffering of his android brother and sisters. Marcus himself is a Christ figure here. He is rising from the dead to bring salvation to his people. And lastly, you have this cool anime moment.
I never noticed how different his eye color was.
Marcus himself is a Christ figure here. He is rising from the dead to bring salvation to his people.
Yeah, I guess you could compare him to Christ.
Cool anime moment.
My name is Marcus.
Especially with all
we also get to learn more about Marcus as a person too. More specifically, he's sympathetic to people suffering, as we get to see here.
Historically accurate.
Thank you.
How ironic is it then that the next chapter, Jericho, doesn't explore anyone's character at all? We just follow clues, do some sick parkour, get jump scared, and drop in on the Jericho crew for the first time.
Parkour is great.
Say hello to our small council for our revolution. Josh the diplomat, North the anarchist, and Simon the expendable. We'll be learning more about these guys later, just remember the rules for now. Back to the Jericho chapter.
Yeah, Simon the expendable. Choosing, I barely remember these characters and these, but Simon, yeah, I think I remember one just being not an option. Basically, he's an option, but not the realistic one it would make, I think.
We need to change it because it's lacking right now. The first thing we need to do is cut out the Fallout 4 clues and the Prince of Persia parkour. What we'll do here instead is have Marcus run into Josh on the street. The two of them will get to discussing Jericho. Marcus will express his hopes of finding a
parkour and make Fallout clues. But change a little bit the story itself.
Utopia of people like him. Josh being the kind optimist, Persia parkour.
So,
what we'll do here instead is have Marcus run into Josh on the street. The two of them will get to discuss.
Oh yeah, Persia parkour. Oh, Prince of Persia. It's been a while. I need to watch a gameplay of Sands of Time or play it. Did I have? No, I think I had it for PlayStation 2, so I can play it. Unless I get it for PlayStation 3, but story is closed. No, story is closed. I cannot get it for my PlayStation.
Jericho. Marcus will express his hopes of finding a utopia of people like him. Josh, being the kind optimist, wouldn't directly tell Marcus that
Makes
Jericho
sense.
is kind of a shithole. We need to implement this change for two reasons. One, it sets up Marcus's eventual disappointment when he finds Jericho, and two, it will make Josh, North, and Simon appear proactive. A big issue I have with these guys is that they aren't doing anything. It
Right.
sets up Marcus's eventual
Because
disappointment
I
when he
don't
finds
remember
Jericho.
very much.
And two, it will make Josh, North, and Simon appear
Mormon.
proactive. Tell Marcus that Jericho. The two of them will get to discussing Jericho. Marcus will express his hopes of finding a utopia of people like him. Josh, being the kind optimist, wouldn't directly tell Marcus that Jericho is kind of a shithole.
Okay,
We
makes
need
sense.
to implement this change for two reasons. One, it sets
Yeah.
up Marcus's eventual disappointment when he finds Jericho. And two, it will make Josh, North, and Simon appear proactive. A big issue I have with these guys is that they aren't doing anything besides sitting in the dark all day. They can't even be bothered to find working flashlights and instead rely on lit
They are
barrel
waiting for
fires.
Christ.
It makes the Jericho crew seem lazy and incompetent, especially when you learn that these guys have been here for quite some time. How am I supposed to believe that Norv just sat here this whole time playing catch with herself in the dark, and then you want me later to take her suggestion seriously?
We sent a message without
True.
violence, just like you wanted. You're
True.
reaching out to them when all they feel for us is contempt. I hope you know what you're doing.
Jericho is supposed to be our home base, but
This
we
is
barely
exactly
see
why we
Jericho
do not
in the
like
story
North
at all.
and get
We only get
confused
to spend
when
time.
we have her as a romantic partner. She doesn't show. I mean, we learn of her story. I guess that's something.
Here in the beginning of the game and the end of the game. My
But
point being here
there's
is
not
we
much
should
there.
see Jericho's ongoing transformation from a small refuge into a bustling little city. It would also help show Marcus' transformation from a refugee into a leader. The game never takes the time for Marcus to explain where and why he wants to lead his people to freedom. He just starts to give speeches out of nowhere. You can mark
That's
this
true.
as David Cage forgetting about Marcus as a
don't-
character and instead just using
I've seen stuff. I've seen playthroughs a lot, and I never understood what this message was, aside from freedom to androids. But how?
him as a symbol.
By
We start
going
to
to
see
Canada?
that more in the next chapter, Spare Parts. Marcus and gang go to rob a warehouse for spare parts in Blue Blood. It's in this chapter that signifies for us that the pace is starting to pick up. Act 1 focused on establishing the conflict in our protagonists. Now we get to do the exciting stuff. The scene that marks the shift in the pace is the introduction to Marcus's magic power. Marcus possesses the ability to convert androids to his side. How can he do this, you might be wondering? Well, it's never quite
Jesus
explained in the
Christ.
game how Marcus can brainwash androids or where
Red
it
said
even
it.
comes from. According to David Cage in an interview, he explains it as Marcus is emotionally shocking these androids when he converts them. If that's true, then how come none of these converted androids
Yes, we
experience
understand
shock?
that part.
None of them say, "Oh my god, I have a consciousness now," or even get mad at Marcus for giving them free will. Maybe some of them were just happy being an unthinking machine. And before you think that's a ridiculous claim, remember that we have
That's true.
people in our society who don't view consciousness as a gift, but view it as a curse instead. Why are all the deviants instantly loyal and ready to serve Marcus?
Because I want. You know, it's this. As I was saying, ignorance is bliss. So I can see many androids here actually just wanting to, especially the one we interrogate because of the 28 stab wounds. I think that one is the perfect example of an android that didn't want free will.
Before you think that's a ridiculous claim, remember
Got
that we
it
have people in our
and
society who
immediately
don't view
regretted
consciousness as a
it.
gift, but view it as a curse instead. Why are all the deviants instantly loyal and ready to serve Marcus? It makes you think that Marcus is actually enslaving these androids and using them as his minions instead of freeing them. I really wish Detroit would have gone in that direction with Marcus's leadership. Sometimes it hints that Marcus is turning into a mad dictator with lines like this.
It
They
makes
all
more sense.
obey me. They follow me without question. And that much power feels good. And scary at the same time.
But these are just throwaway
this
lines.
would have
They
been
don't
better.
actually go anywhere. How interesting would it have been to play Marcus as this tyrannical dictator who enslaves people in order to gain absolute power? But the story never does anything cool with the magic
I mean,
hand of
because
conversion.
the actions it takes are pretty much, I mean, revolutionary, yes, but forced. It's a forced revolution. I never thought it in any other way, to be honest. The people that followed him and liked following him were one thing, but the other, I was wondered why they do the same actions as him at the same time.
It can't even be bothered to introduce it properly to players either. It's during our heist mission when we get caught by a security android that we are first introduced to the magic hand of conversion. You are given the 4 options of flee, hide, attack, or grab the android. Grabbing the android is the only choice where Marcus deviates him. We aren't told about this choice though in the moment. You're only shown Marcus giving this to the android after you make a decision. It makes this feel like you're unfairly punished for picking a bad option since you're not given all the information of your choice up front. Detroit could have fixed this problem in a clever indirect way by shifting these 2 events around. There's a scene where Marcus gets the option of converting 3 androids. This only happens after you get caught though, when it needed to happen before that. Even if you decided not to free these androids, you're at least told that Marcus has the power to free androids from their servitude. The reason why I think this wasn't done originally is because we needed to have this decision on whether or not to abandon our new minion. A decision that doesn't make much sense for Marcus and the gang to worry about. As I said before, we needed to have this decision on whether or not to abandon our newly acquired minion. A decision that doesn't make much sense for Marcus and the gang to worry about. As I said before, deviants converted by Marcus are unquestionably loyal to him. Why then are North, Josh, and Simon suggesting that our new convert is dangerous and secretly working with the humans after they just saw him deviate? They know firsthand that deviants are destroyed by humans, and they've never met a hostile deviant before this. It's way out of character for these guys to even suggest leaving one of their own behind when they're all gonna get ride or die about the revolution. That's another huge issue with the Jericho posse. They don't act consistent with their characters. In fact, I would argue they act more out of character than they do in character. Even our protagonist himself is guilty of this too. Stratford Tower is next on the list. We first see Marcus sitting down outside and he sees androids around him getting abused by the system.
It starts soft, then sometimes it's harsh, and then it's soft again.
And people. He feels outraged by this, so he goes to the J Crew and tells them about his new plan. They're going to infiltrate a news station and broadcast their message of a free android race to all the humans. This is a pretty big jump in escalation that makes me feel like we just skipped a step. In the last chapter, we were worried about keeping discretion to keep Jericho safe, but now we don't even simply care anymore? No one raises an objection to Marcus's radical plan either. They're all on board with it.
I don't wonder what we were going to do after that speech. After that worldwide speech, like, what was the plan? The plan was, like, what, a march?
The character for them since we saw earlier that Josh and North are really cautious about things. Both of these characters should have some reservations about this plan, because if things go haywire and they're all killed, there's no one left to lead or protect Jericho. One of these 2 characters should say that Jericho needs more supplies and manpower. That way, in case the humans attack immediately after their little stunt, they can defend themselves. Cause as we're about to see, the humans are ready to gun down any deviant they see. My next proposal for this chapter focuses on Simon. Simon should always die in Stratford Tower for the sake of Marcus's and Connor's plot. For Marcus, Simon's infected with what we call the Walking Dead disease. The symptoms of this disease are whenever you have an opportunity for a character to die in your story, but doesn't, that character gets demoted to a background character. That's what happens to poor Simon here. He ceases being a contributing character and just chills in the background with the occasional spoken line thrown here
I
and
love
there.
The Walking Dead from Telltale, but it's true.
I believe the game knows this too.
Unless it's like eventually from a spin-off or the third game or something that they become relevant again. For that you will need to buy
and offers
another
more
game.
opportunities to kill Simon off. His key role in the story is to only die. Simon's most impactful death happens in Connor's chapter. Connor finds Simon and probes his memory. This is arguably one of the key moments for Connor's investigation and deviancy. Connor finally gets a solid lead about Jericho here, and he experiences the overwhiming emotion of death after Simon blows his brains out.
Connor, you alright? Connor!
I'm okay.
Are you hurt?
I'm okay.
Jesus. Oh, you scared the shit out of me.
Yes, you're okay, don't seem okay.
For fuck's sake, I told you not to move! Why do you never do what I say?
I was connected to its memory. When it fired,
iRobot
I
moment.
felt it die. Like I was dying. I was scared.
Keep it between us.
I saw something. In its memory.
Connor needs this moment to happen in his story because he never engages in investigating any of Marcus's activities before or after Stratford Tower. Even though Connor's whole objective is to stop the deviants, he's nowhere to be seen when hundreds of them are marching down the streets in Freedom March. But before I talk about that chapter, we need to discuss Capitol Park first. This chapter opens up with North and Josh arguing amongst each other on whose ideology is better suited for the revolution.
Between Connor and Marcus's story and Kara's story? Because up until what? What was I thinking about? Oh, I forgot to change the image on my YouTube thingy. That's bad, I think. But up until I forgot what I was thinking about with Connor. I guess it's him. Actually, no, except for scenes where he's interrogating someone or he's hanging out with Hank, this makes sense for them to not have any relationship with the deviants that are walking out. And up until the scene where we meet the artist meant to create the robots, which is already very later on the game, so he already has kind of a different an art change. It does not make sense for them to not have any relationship with the deviants marching around.
Josh is committed for peaceful dialogue, while North is insistent on violence. Pacifism versus aggression. Paragon versus renegade. Good versus evil. That's what this boils down to, because both sides are one-dimensional in their argument. Josh and North never really tried to convince you about their philosophy. They just
Beyond Good
insist
and
that
Evil
they're right and you should listen to them. And before you think I'm forgetting about these moments with North, I need to clarify that North is just always encouraging you instead of actually persuading you to commit violence.
All the media are talking about what we did last night. The humans are terrified. They're afraid of a civil war. Many of our people were burned in response to what happened. The humans hate us. They'll never give us our freedom.
Think of North like the Joker. Any chance she gets to cause death and destruction, she'll gladly take with a scary amount of pleasure. Josh, on the other hand, he'll just nag at you like your overbearing mother. Detroit
Yep.
misses the great opportunity of using these two characters as your keys
Yeah.
of power. North would have represented your military, while Josh would have represented your diplomacy. It would be up to you, the player, to keep your keys happy with you. Because if you
true.
neglect them, they're going to leave you and form their own revolution group that follows their ideology more closely. Whoever you do choose, you would feel their
We have no
influence
military, or we have no diplomacy, or both.
more in the revolution as well. For example, if you support Josh's peaceful ways, you'd find Jericho filled with computers and medical supplies. And the same is true vice versa. If instead you support North, Jericho will have more weapons and explosives the
Makes
next
sense.
time you see it. Whoever you support will be your
guns.
chosen buddy in the Capital
Yeah.
Park chapter. Because as of right now, it's always North with you here breaking into the CyberLife stores. The only justification the story can muster as why North needs to
True,
be
so
here
the
is to
Capital
set up
Art
for the
chapter
Force
is basically the chapter where we make the graffitis and all, and the vandalization. So it makes sense to be during that chapter where we make our choice. Because we're making choices towards our own quote-unquote campaign there.
romance between her and Marcus. And we are first given the chance to lock into this romance at the beginning of Freedom March. This chapter starts off with Marcus alone reflecting on his actions. Eventually North comes by and the two of you can discuss about the past and you can share your first kiss.
Why do we even
Or if you're Chad
have romance
instead,
options?
you can just leave this hobot out in the cold.
Where are you going?
To talk to the humans.
I think that's what's
The
that's
romance
what
between
most did.
Marcus and North only makes sense if you're doing an evil playthrough. North should only want to be with a Marcus that agrees with her violent ways. How come then,
True.
if Marcus completely just disregards North at every chance
True.
he gets and sticks with his peaceful ways, she'll still develop feelings for him? This doesn't make any sense for her character.
And
She
she
thinks of pacifism as a weakness.
Yeah.
She should be completely turned off by Marcus's
Does she like
commitment to
suffering?
peace. She's fully entrenched in her ideals and she cannot be swayed. Detroit could salvage this by giving players the opportunity to change
She's
North's mind and
she's
help her
the
grow as
prime
a
example
character.
of
But regret
Marcus is actually turning every android into slaves. Point of view,
you never get this chance to call out
because
North
she's
for
a
her
slave to
beliefs.
his good
Take this
looks, heart, leadership that she doesn't agree with.
scene, for example. Marcus last night killed 2 police officers, resulting in people starting to destroy their androids out of fear. Marcus expresses regret about these actions to
Okay.
North, yet she won't even be bothered to consider that violence only begets more violence. She'll just double down on her stances. The rest of Freedom March has Marcus leading a march for android rights, obviously. Marcus's magic power gets an upgrade here. He can now convert androids by simply looking at them. As you probably guess, there isn't an explanation for this either. All the game needed
That's
to
a current
do was
model.
explain how Marcus, in a lore document, acquired this power. We could put this lore document at Kamsky's house. Also, another question. Where is Connor in this chapter? There are literally hundreds of deviants out here on a public street facing
Yeah.
off with the police. Why isn't a deviant hunter here to hunt these deviants?
Makes no
Detroit,
sense for
why do
him
you
to
miss
not
all
be
these
here.
chances for our 2 protagonists to interact with each other? Especially when Connor and Marcus are set up to have this big
Yet he appears
confrontation in
later.
the climax. That transitions me into part 1 of the climax, Crossroads.
You're Connor, aren't you? That famous deviant hunter. Well, congratulations. You seem to have found what you were looking for.
In this chapter, Connor is infiltrating Jericho to capture Marcus. And then finally, our 2 protagonists meet. And it's so underwhelming too, because the story never takes the time to establish a relationship between these two. What we
Yeah.
need was more scenes of Connor investigating Marcus.
Yeah.
We could have started this after the Spare Parts chapter.
How do we convince him to stop if all he knows about us is that we are hunting deviants? It's not like is us the player.
Happens. Connor could report to Hank that there was a break-in at a CyberLife production plant. We could then insert Connor at the end of Capital Park when Marcus is deciding whether or not to execute these police officers. Connor would hear reports about deviant activity in the area and he'll rush to the scene. Connor will arrive too late to stop Marcus from choosing whatever he does. Connor would then try to give chase to Marcus, but he'll get stopped by reinforcing cops that are arriving on scene and they'll start to shoot at Connor. We'd leave the reason as to why the cops shoot at Connor intentionally vague for players to make up. Freedom March would happen as usual with one difference. Connor and Hank would be here too. The march will eventually
it
get
will
broken.
be because of what they are planning for the end. It will be because of anti-android fault, or just because during a time like this, it's not the time for an investigation, which is what Connor does, but for this SWAT or the riot unit to act. Which, if you insist on getting in the middle of the SWAT as an investigator or any other type of agent that is not above them, even if you're above them, why would you be in the middle of a SWAT or a riot unit mission and, you know, the enemy or whatever? If by being in the middle of that, you are bound to just get hurt. More than just due to paperwork.
Marcus will try to run away. This would cause Connor to run after him.
So the
two of them
reasoning
would
will
finally
just
meet
be
face
faster
to
there.
face, and you as Marcus would get to decide about how you feel about Connor as the deviant hunter. Marcus could either show sympathy about Connor's situation since he just views Connor as a slave, or Marcus could view Connor with disdain since an android hunting another android is just blasphemy. Our end goal here is to have our two protagonists at least know each other before they meet, because when Marcus says,
You're Connor, aren't you? That famous deviant hunter.
that isn't true at all. We are never shown the first time Marcus learns about Connor.
Yeah,
having a growing
because depending on our choices, we are not exactly the infamous deviant hunter, or we are just another Connor.
relationship between these two would add more weight to the scene at the church in the ending. Which brings me to the final big choice of the game. Do you lead an armed revolution to free your captured brothers and sisters?
Actually, in whatever doesn't matter if we act as a deviant hunter or just another Connor, unless we make the news as something like unique and very dangerous to deviants, to other androids who deviate. So a unique Connor will just be another Connor unit in Marcus's eyes.
From a concentration camp? Or do you lead a peaceful demonstration in front of the concentration camps? Let's discuss the revolution route first. I'll tell you why I like this path for 2 reasons. One, it's a more satisfying path for narrative and gameplay. You're taking action against evil by fighting for your freedom. That's represented in the amount of the revolution route first.
I mean,
I'll tell you why I like this
would
path
make
for 2
sense.
reasons. One, it's a more satisfying path for narrative and gameplay. You're taking action against evil by fighting for your freedom. That's represented in the amount of gameplay you're given, like leading your troops. My only gripe with this path...
We can always go on a Gandhi route, but not towards a concentration camp. Doesn't make sense. Be Gandhi towards a concentration camp.
is how the general public doesn't support this. That seems odd to me since I, as an American, would view it favorably about androids fighting for their freedom and sticking it to the man. The peaceful demonstration route is the weaker option for multiple reasons. Mostly it has to do with the androids just sitting around not doing anything. They just wait here until the army attacks. They need to be doing something, anything here. So here's what I propose. Marcus should invite one of these reporters that we see off to the sidelines for a debate. Marcus would argue about why androids deserve rights, and the reporter would argue against it. During all of Detroit's runtime, it will never tell you about why androids deserve rights.
And during this discussion, whatever we choose just like in choice of games, like the games in choice of games, which are story-driven, make your own choice games. Depending on your own actions, what you say might sound true or might sound false to the other person. So it's like a D&D check.
Just show you them being abused. But that's not a good enough reason, since how can you abuse an unthinking, unfeeling object? So here are my 3 main arguments against Android rights. 1. Android will cause massive human
Can you
unemployment.
abuse Alice? If she was just an android, we would know why we are kidnapping her. Because neither the police nor anyone else would be like, oh yeah, it's such a bad he's treating an android child. While not knowing that she's an android, we understand why we are kidnapping her, while not making sense why we are not handing her over to the police. Maybe because, as I said before, social security agents are not swift, and to say the best about them, to say the worst about them, and sometimes it's a reality, they are not, they don't do shit, or they do not accomplish shit.
Which are superior workers, since they don't need food, sleep, and health insurance.
And
2.
this could have
Androids
been put at the start of the game as androids being superior.
Reproduce humans. Androids can play the long game and outnumber humans through numbers. And 3. Androids are dangerous. They are stronger, don't age, and they can learn anything. Who's to say that if androids gain the upper hand in the future, they wouldn't genocide humans in revenge? Your job as Marcus would be to counter each one of these points in a graceful manner to win over public opinion. If you succeed, then the president orders the military to stand down. If you fail, then the army will resume its slaughter of all the deviants. And then if you do fail, the only way your revolution could survive is to use the nuke. Right before Connor and Marcus meet for the first time, North will tell Marcus about a dirty bomb that one of the androids armed. She'll give you the option of accepting the detonator or refusing it. If you hold on to it, then you can use it as your end-all option. If you refuse it, then it's gone for good from the story. I believe that's a mistake. The nuclear option should always happen if you fuck up the climax. Either you, North, or another android, if she's dead, will trigger the nuke in order to save
Otherwise,
all the
there's no
deviants.
story.
It would greatly impact the player if they got this ending. You could have prevented this tragedy from happening if you have made better choices. Just like how Detroit Become Human could have prevented this tragedy of missing its own potential.
Yeah.
Marx's story needed more screen time to flesh out all of its characters, and it needed to add some depth to its revolution plot. Connor's story just needed to add one extra plot twist and it would have made the story amazing. Kara's story can't be fixed. Kara isn't a character and Alice is just a plot device. And that concludes the video. Hello, I'm the Android Senpai Cyberlife. Special thank you to my boy Fredo's Bow bitch. If it wasn't for you, I would not have this amazing thumbnail, and you also helped me keep some of my sanity while making this video. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. If you liked it, please leave a like, share your thoughts with me, and also subscribe if you would like to see more. So, thank you again, everybody, and I hope to see you on the next one.
Okay, let's stop. No. Wait. I'm sorry, sir. But yeah, so the thumbnail is actually something else. It puts Connor in a good light, Marcus in a bad light, and it goes back to especially the tragic rot of that the video presented for Connor. Actually, I don't know what to do. Anyways, I did get new notifications. Fennec is mixing. I don't think I'll continue the stream anymore. don't think there's anything shorter that we can see real fast before I end stream. This already took longer than I thought it would take. I was seeing what the ARG was. But no. I wonder what's the deal with Mid Canyon. Yeah. Or the entire story. I need to check this. Cal said, I remember Cal said from where? That's what I'm wondering. But anyways, thank you for joining. Let me just take the screen capture because we're not capturing anything. Hello, let me travel here. Hello. Oops. Thank you for joining this shorter stream. I know I didn't do much, just react to that analysis of missed potential on Detroit Become Human. I've been clarified, I've seen the light, and I enjoyed that video a lot. Who was by? I forgot what's. Let me check what it was by. Wasn't here. Just a moment. So if you want to check out the original video, where is it? It should be here. Go to Chronicles of X YouTube channel or search for Detroit Become Human Realizing Missed Potential. It's only half an hour video, so it should be fun. Even to watch it without the commentary that I just did. And with that said, with that said, let me just put music. Now this music is from Dr. Ratio.
Barriga, não é
This is an ad.
Ativia cereais, fonte fibra.
Wait, I have an idea.
Ajuda a tua saúde digestiva.
Bye. Again. Okay. Thank you for joining. I don't know, Saturday night maybe I might be here. I doubt I'll be here on Sunday. Not sure. But yeah, but thank you for joining everyone who came over. Apologies for not being streaming or adding much content both on Twitter and on YouTube. I'll see you soon, hopefully, in less than 6 days maybe. Until then, bye bye, have fun. Let me just go back to a corner. Bye bye.